How much are you entangling with your outer world, and how much of your outer world are you letting control you, control your thoughts? I have a story about this I'm going to share with you now. I just met a guy that I know throughout the neighborhood, and I met him on my walk today. And I said, Ben, how are you doing? And he said, "Oh, geez, no, I'm not good since this morning. I just did you see that?" And I was like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about." And so I thought it was something in the news, but what it turns out to be was that he was crossing the road close to here, and he went across the road first in front of a lady and her small child. And there was what they call here a lorry, or like a semi, a large truck, okay, if you will, was coming up at the same time. Now he went across the road, and the lady went across the road with her child, and then all of a sudden Ben heard a scream. And I guess what happened was the child ran back, I guess, into the side of the truck or something where the truck was driving, and the child was knocked on the ground and was, I don't know, was unconscious for a while or whatever. I don't know how serious it was, but it's actually odd now that I think about that, because I saw a fire truck heading that way this morning, and it must have had something to do with that. It's weird how all these things kind of, like, sometimes things come to you after. But so the child eventually moved, and I guess the child was okay, but Ben was torn up about it the whole day. And he said he had just thought about his son, who lives in the States, has a 1.5 year old, I think it is that 1.5 year old. So he's a grandson that's 1.5 years old, and he hasn't seen the grandson. And he said, right before this happened, he was thinking about his grandson, right? It just popped into his head, and then this happens with this child. So this whole day, Ben was going around with this thought in his mind, and he was letting it control his thoughts, even though it was long since over, and he was entangling himself in something that didn't pertain to him. That incident did not really pertain to him. He could have walked on and just said, that doesn't pertain to me. It's, I feel bad. You don't have to. Just because something bad happens doesn't mean you're a bad person if you don't get yourself involved in it. People think oftentimes that if you don't engage in something that's a bad thing or a negative thing, or you don't feel bad for somebody, or something like that. Anyway, you get what I'm saying, that you're a bad person because of, well, that's them trying to guilt you and shame you into something because of something. It's they're projecting something out on you, okay, and that's not fair. And I think that personally, all of the spiritual teaching that or spiritual learning that I've done, I can raise myself above that to where I'm not I'm not affected by that. I'm not drawn into that, okay? Because it doesn't impact me, and also it's not my place to get involved in someone else's karma. And a lot of these things are decided at a much higher level than we can understand as kind of, I suppose, normal, not really, really, really elevated conscious beings. We're all conscious beings, but most of us cruising around here on the 3D. Ooh, excuse me, hiccup. Most of us cruising around here on this 3D big blue ball are not qualified to involve someone else's karma and, or, I suppose, try to manipulate someone else's karma. Okay, so all you can do is take care of you. So anyway, I said to Ben, how does that, what does that bring up for you? The fact that you were thinking, because the universe does not, it doesn't have these signs without there being something on the other side of it. That was some sign. There's something there that I asked him, if he could look into that, because there's something there that he needs to deal with at some level. Because he was just thinking of his grandson that he hasn't seen, and then all of a sudden this child gets hit. Now, is it something to do with he feels guilty because he hasn't seen the child or something? I don't know what it is. Again, that's above my understanding, my pay grade. But he wasn't even conscious that the two things were connected, other than he thought it was a coincidence, okay? And people think that there's this, some random coincidence, but sometimes I had to actually convince him that such a thing exists, because I said, haven't you ever thought of somebody and then they ring you, okay? Well, that's because everything is connected. All of our minds are connected. As you're watching this right now, you understand that we are connected, I'm sure. Otherwise, you wouldn't have clicked on it. But how often do you allow yourself to get entangled into the 3D stuff that's going on in the world? And how often do you let that start to drive your thoughts and control your mind, rather than just staying quiet in your mind and maintaining a silence, a peace, a well-being as you walk around? Something to think about. Anyway, I'll leave you with that. Namaste. Love you.